Hello, everyone. It looks like we are live. I think we're good. It looks like audio is working. I'll wait to hear to make sure. We've got French Fry here who's currently chewing on his toenails, so enjoy that. Let's see. Do we have stop? Someone let me know if we've got audio. Audio and video. Okay, we're good. Okay, so tonight I am going to be critiquing submissions from our Patreon members. If you are not already, sign up over at patreon.com/Lachri, where you get instant access to over 400 of my longer lessons as in multiple mediums, as well as we're now going to be doing monthly critiques. And even the first one we're doing tonight is if you just get stuck on a painting, what do you do next? So that is pretty cool for $6. Like, seriously, that's crazy. I may end up having to raise those prices just because eventually because of inflation and the cost of postage and everything went up like crazy. But right now it is $6. So, get in while it's good. So anyway, oh, you're going to go over there. Okay. Done chewing on our toes, I guess. So the tips that I'm giving tonight, my opinion is obviously not the end all when it comes to art. Do what you love. You don't have to agree with me. These are just tips that I would give to my own students if I was working with somebody in person. So these are just, let's see, is anyone hearing Lisa? You're not hearing anything. Unicorn. Joseph said he did. It looks like audio's working. Refresh or turn on audio, Unicorn Art. I don't think we're having issues at this point, are we? Okay, Monica hears me. Okay, so anyway, turn volume up. I hit the up button on your phone. I think I'm hilarious. Anyway, so that is, I think, it with updates and such. So I know in French Fry will probably be making a ridiculous amount of noise for the next 20 minutes or so until Matt comes and gets him for his play date with Nugget. Let's see. I think we're good to go. So let me change. I'll give you quick updates with my foot. I went to the doctor and so actually this is updates for live streams too. I went to the doctor for my 1 month exam and x-rays after breaking my foot a month ago, and it is healing well. I do not have to have surgery, which is a huge relief because if I did, they were gonna have to put a plate. They can't pin it because I broke it in an interesting way. That is not what you want to hear from a doctor. Matt goes in for surgery on the week of the 2nd of June. Yeah, his surgery is on the 2nd. He'll be in the hospital for 2 days, which means I think he's coming home on the 4th. I'm not even going to try to live stream that week because I'm going to be taking care of him with my 1 foot. Good news is I apparently get to start trying to walk on my foot with the big cast. I don't know if you can see here. Is it weird? There's my big boot cast thing. I get to start trying to walk in 2 weeks. I'm super, super excited because I have been off my foot for 1 month. So that is... yay. So that should be right around the time that Matt goes in for surgery. So actually the week before Matt goes for surgery is when I get to start trying to walk. So yay. I'm ridiculously excited about that. That was good news. Matt's surgery should only be in the hospital for 2 days, not the 5 to 7 days like we were hearing. So it's getting better. Good information coming through. And I apologize for those of you who are not on Patreon. You don't know about the whole drama with Matt, surgery and mine and all that. But anyway, I'll start boring you with that. And let's get into the actual art tips. So we have a super chat from Oriole Beagle who says, puppies, they're not in here tonight because I'm in with the birds, but we can give, do I have any cut? Oh, I do. Oh God, I've got a lot. Whoops, French Fry, come. Let's see if I'll come. We haven't been practicing this. Oh, you've got food all over your, I'm going to have food in my beak, my hair. Come. God, your beak is covered. I kind of don't want you to come. Come on. Come get your treat. You got a super chat. Come on. I'm not giving it to you on the desk. Although I kind of wish I did because he has a ridiculous amount of veggies and rice on his beak at the moment. So he's kind of a mess and he is definitely going to be wiping that off in my hair. So thank you for that. But no, seriously, thank you. And he thanks you for his super chat. He got a pistachio. That's his favorite, are pistachios. And let's get started. So I have to remember which screen. Okay, so here's, oh, you don't need that. That is an old one. Let's pull up the new stuff. So our first for tonight is actually somebody who's looking for help on how to complete their paintings. So now this is new. And just to let those of you know who are over on Patreon, who are going to be submitting for, let me move this over here. I've got to rearrange some windows really quick. Sorry. For those of you who are going to be submitting for help with things that aren't done, I need a bit more information, even for critiques. The more information you give me, the more I can help. So with this one, this is from Jackie, who said, hi, I've been stuck on how to move forward with this painting and would like some feedback, please. So the thing with this is that's not enough info. I want more information than that you're stuck. What are you stuck on? Because I don't know how to help if I don't know where your problem area is. So there's almost, and this is why when I do critiques, why I always say finished artwork, because I don't know what you're planning to do to finish it. So it's very hard for me to judge if I don't know that. The next thing is make sure you're cropping your photos a little bit, because I mean, now I'll crop it, but this is 100%. This is a tiny, tiny photo, tiny image, 256 kilobytes. And that's little. So there's no way for me to see much detail, even if I crop this. I definitely, and I don't mean to be picking on you, Jackie. I super appreciate you submitting. I just want just to let everyone know it's very hard for me to say much about this, because I don't know what your goals are. I don't know where you're having trouble, like why you feel stuck. I need more information to help you as best as I can. I mean, I'll give you some advice that I can try tonight, but it makes it very hard for me to give advice when this is tiny and I can't, even if I blow it up. We've got a couple things. See how we're at an angle? We're not straight on. Try to take photos of your work where you're straight on. Try to take bigger images. I don't even know, because even if you took a photo with your camera, cameras take big images. So I don't even know how you managed to get it this small. That's actually kind of impressed with your technical skills there, because this is, I'll try to blow it up, but it's now all pixely because I can't give much advice because I don't have information, and it's a really teeny tiny pixelated photo. Like, I'm blowing it up so it's big, but it's so many little pixels. It's like all pixelated. I can't see the details that well. So that's a bit of an issue. The same thing with your reference photo. It'd be better if you just send me the actual photo instead of a photo of it. Send the digital file. I'll be able to see better, because this is the same thing. It is tiny. I can't, that's 100%. It's this big. And I've got a big monitor. It is, oops, let's see if I can, even if I blow it up, I'm super pixelated. So that is certainly just going to make things more challenging, because I don't have much to work with. So let's go ahead and see what I can give you advice on. So the first thing, this doesn't say, here's the other thing, it doesn't say what medium. I'm guessing it's acrylics. It's so pixelated, it's hard to say. But let's pretend we're acrylics. It kind of looks like acrylics with an airbrushed background so far. So again, I don't know what your goals are, so my advice may not even be useful to you. Few things, obviously, we need to get the darks darker in the babies, like a lot darker. Look how dark around the head is under that floof. You need to get those darks way darker. Same thing on the chest. You've got red on the chest where it's really more of a brown. Let's actually open our, new, yeah, that'll work. I'm really glad, though, that you submitted this, because it lets me let everyone know a little bit more clear what I'm looking for and why I can't work with not enough information. So let's just cover you a solid color. Actually, that's not the best way to do this. Sorry, I haven't worked on this computer in a while. Can you tell? I'm just lost on layer new, what am I looking for? Fill layer, solid color. This makes it easier for me. I know, French fry, you'll get to go see your friend soon. Okay, so let's talk about colors really quick, because that I can see. We are coral. We need to be burnt sienna, a little bit darker, not so bright orange, a little bit more brown. And as we get into this area, look, we're dark grays and browns. Look how dark that needs to go versus how light yours is. Same thing here. Look at where the darkest area of that baby bird's head is. This is where it needs to be. Dark. That's actually got some purple in it too, by the way. So that's kind of helpful. So yeah, those are my tips there. More details. And I don't want when you feel stuck, this is why I need to know I need to know what your challenge is, because I don't want to turn the portions where I'm giving advice on where you're stuck into, well, this is what to do next, unless I know what what are you stuck on? I don't know what you're stuck on. So everything needs to be dark. Not everything, but your darks need to be darker. Like here's the inside of the baby bird's mouth. Where's the darker area? This is yours. Like everything just needs to be a lot darker. So that's like step one. You're missing some of the wrinkles in the neck, like the darker shadows. Now let's talk a bit about the background. If this is acrylics, and really no matter what medium you're in, it looks like you've got some leaves and stuff painted in the background. That all should have been done already. That should have been done before you started with the birds, because look at the floof on this guy's head. You've got floof. Give me a second to get that. That'll work. Look at the floof. You've got sticking out these little floof things, if you can see it because it's super pixelated, but I'm not letting that go, am I? How are you going to paint the background in between those hairs, those little, or the little feather floofs? Your work is going to be much more difficult because your background's not done. So it looks like I can see lines where it's drawn in that you're planning to do leaves. That should make your life easier when you're working with acrylics. Work from what is ever farthest back and move your way forward. If you paint a background after, it's better if you're planning on that background to be something that's a little bit more impressionistic, more more painterly, letting your brush strokes show, which is not the style you've got going here. So that I would not recommend doing. But it's going to be a real challenge because you don't have. You've already painted in detail in the foreground. This is why we want to start with whatever is farthest back, because now you're basically going to need to paint over his floof like it's not even there, and come back and put the floof back over whatever you're doing for the detail. You've also, it's going to be a little bit challenging. The grains in the background are kind of out of focus. They're supposed to be slightly out of focus compared to what the birds are. So if you're going to do that with sharp details, be very, very careful. I would not go as high contrast necessarily as what the background has in the photo, because the birds are going to get lost in it. The baby birds especially are going to get really lost if you go super dark there. So, I mean, your line drawing is good. Like everything is good. You've got to paint your branches and all of that. And now one thing, see this branch here that is out of focus? I would either leave it out completely. I would leave it out completely. What am I saying? I would personally leave it out completely. But if you want to paint it in, don't paint it out of focus. I don't think that adds to it. So sometimes when you're painting something and the reference photo has what's in the foreground really out of focus, and then you've got the zooming in on the subject, and then the background's out of focus again, it gives a really neat effect. You're not going to get that because you already painted your subject. Your background, you're not going to do an out of focus background on this. Not super out of focus. And even if you did, I don't like that branch, it doesn't add to the dimension. Like when you leave portions out of focus, the goal is to create this depth where you feel like you're just, it adds atmosphere and depth to the piece. And I don't feel like that branch, even on the reference photo, I don't think it's adding anything. So that branch you can include. Again, I don't think I would. I don't like it as far as the composition goes. I would just leave it out and continue the nest. Like that branch isn't even there. I mean, you'll have to continue on a little bit of the bird's tail, which you can't see, or can pull the nest up a little bit. And I would make the nest also very, very in focus. I would not try to make that slightly blurry like what the reference photo has. So it's a great photo, super cute. I loved so much about this, but I wouldn't include those out of focus branches. This is where you come in as an artist and you just make that sharp details. And the way that I would personally tackle that nest is to paint it a dark brown, and then do your light branches over it, do all the shading on the light branches, and then go back in with your darkest, use a little bit of black and pull in some of your darkest darks into the nest. But I would probably look up other photos of that type of bird's nest so you get a better idea of what those branches would look like. You can't really see a lot. They're blocked with the branches. And again, even these branches here, I would not include any of this. I would just chop that right on out and instead continue your nest lines going right over like it's not even there. I don't feel like that those branches aren't adding anything positive to like the composition of the piece. How to do the background. I might just leave the background where it is. Now, you said you've been stuck for months, so the white lines I'm seeing, whether it be transfer paper or charcoal pencil, it's not going to erase all the way. So you kind of have to do something, because your chances of those erasing, not likely at this point. It's on there. So you're going to want to do something, but I would pretty much paint and plan on coming and getting all the details around the birds and touching those up again. Don't be too careful. The other option you can do is if you want to get into using Frisket. Frisket is like big sheets of tape, but it's clear. And you would put that over the canvas. You take a razor blade on the canvas. You just have to do it very gently. I use an X-Acto knife and just very gently cut out your birds, not the floof on the head. You're going to have to paint that back in because there's no way to make that look good with Frisket. But you can at least chop out around the birds, and that is going to allow you, because it looks like you've airbrushed this background, it's going to allow you to continue to airbrush and build up other colors and other, like the loose shape of the leaves. You don't even have to go as detailed as what you have here on the leaves, but the loose shape of the leaves, you can get all of that in while painting right over, because you're going over the Frisket with the airbrush. You're not worrying about messing those up, as long as you're not watering your airbrush down too much. If you paint it too, if you water it down, because I've done this with Createx, too much water in that mixture gets under the tape and you're going to have to touch that up later. Not the end of the world, but you can do it. The other thing is, Frisket's just a pain in the butt. It really is. But it is something that this would be a good case for it. Now, that is not the same as masking fluid. I don't like masking fluid. I don't use it on acrylics. I don't, I mean, you probably could, maybe. I don't know. You'd have to make, I'm not sure how well it'll come up all the way. And if you didn't get all the pieces up, the paint's not going to stick well. So that kind of runs into its own thing. I would definitely go with Frisket. And it's just, again, sheets of paper. You can get like 9 by 12 or 8 by 10. Just stick it right over this, because this doesn't look much bigger than that. So that would be more than enough. Let's see what else. I've never done a video, I don't think, showing you guys how to use Frisket. So that would actually be a good lesson. I will probably do that one coming up in the future. So let's see. Any other tips? Now, Frisket, here's the thing with Frisket, the tape that I'm talking about. You don't typically want to, you could use it and paint over it with a brush, but if that paint is watered down at all, kind of what I was talking about before with it, if the airbrush paint is watered down, it's going to get under the tape, which is not ideal. So it's not, I'm not loving it for things like that for brush work. I use it mainly if I'm going to be airbrushing a background or airbrushing something else in addition to. So you're off to a great start. You're just out of order. Like everything's out of, and again, because I don't know where you were going with the, like I don't, was your goal to leave the background super light? But if it was, why are there still lines in there? I don't know what's happening with those lines, but all of your background, whenever you are doing something like with this with acrylic, especially with airbrushing, get your whole background done 100% before you move to the next stage. Otherwise, you are just making so many more challenges for yourself. Now, that is not to say that this can't end up being the most amazing piece, that it's not going to be perfect and beautiful and you're not going to love it, no, finish it. But you are making a little bit more work for yourself than you really need to if you jump into like layers 3, 4, 5 when you're still supposed to be working on layers 1 and 2. It just complicates it more than you want, which is probably why you feel stuck right now. So those are, I know, sir, do you have to be that loud? So yeah, those are my tips for you on that. And thank you so much for submitting. And I'm actually really glad that you submitted without giving me information, because I can better explain to everybody why it's important for me to have that information. Or you laughing? You think that's funny? There is food all over your beak. Okay, let's see who's next. But do finish this. That's the other thing I want to say. Absolutely finish this. You're going to learn from it no matter what, but you are, like, it looks good. It's just obviously not finished, but there's nothing on this that you can't like, that I feel is so far gone. It's messed up because you did it out of order, so don't bother, just start over. I don't feel that at all. It's just going to be a little bit more work. Okay. Let's see. Next. What, beep? Let me say, oops. Let's save that. This photo is actually interesting because it adds the atmosphere I was talking about. That you'll see in just a moment here. Okay, is this, because that's bigger on there, is my computer, just not showing me the full size? So this is really little too. Why are these all being shrunk? Because these are both being shrunk to the same size. And I don't think whoever, see, I bet you, these are 100%. What is going on with these? A new tab. It's bigger than what I'm seeing here, but it's still, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the size. Maybe the size issue is the email shrinking it, but I'm downloading it. Like, I try to send me a higher resolution if you can, but I'm curious. Actually, let me see on the next one. If this keeps happening, we know something weird's going on here. I'm pulling up a next one just to, no, the next one's big, so that's not it. Yeah, you guys are just sending me little stuff. Send me the big ones. I need big files. I can't see, or it's even hard for me to edit much when they're little like this. Let me swap these out. So I can't imagine those watching, you're not seeing much either because these are teeny tiny. And it might be that your email itself, like the files might have been big, but when you attached it, whatever apps you're using, phone you're using, that might be shrinking stuff down. Lily, I'm pretty sure I got yours. I think I remember seeing your name. So I'm going to enlarge this by double. The problem is it is going to be a bit pixelated, but we need a little bit more. Whoops. And if we have too many tonight, or if I'm going too slow, taking too much time on any individual one, we'll do it again next week. So everybody who sent it in is going to have theirs critiqued, but it might also be next week. Okay. Let's see. So this one comes from, this is from Alexis Sutton. And wait, are these attachments any bigger? Let me see. What if they are? That would be amazing. Nope. There. The resolution that this is being sent is 348 by 421. Like, we're talking tiny. Tiny, tiny. Okay. Alexis said, I have attached a photo of an oil painting that I completed for my first attempt using AI to generate a reference photo a few weeks ago. Since I am new at the AI stuff, I kept the image itself and just tweaked it in the painting to remove most of the grass, focus on the duckling. My intent was to achieve and maintain realism for the duckling and looser for the grass flower in the final painting. The reference photo I generated using Bing AI and Photoshop Element is also attached. Okay. So, just a quick warning about AI. It is horribly inaccurate a lot. So when we're working in realism, that can certainly bring up challenges. I'm not like going to argue because some people like never use it. Don't you? Use what you want, make a pretty painting. I don't really care what you do to make something that is beautiful, which you have done, that you love. I'm okay, whatever. But you do need to be aware that a lot of the time they are wildly inaccurate. You're okay here because there's no feet is a large reason. But, even the shape of the beak may be off. The shape of, so when we're getting into realism, like if you're going to use AI, go find a very similar real photo of a duckling in that position. So actually, I want to see something really quick. So this is actually, I love that you posted the AI stuff too, because this gives us a good thing to talk about. Let me see. I'm going to head over to Unsplash and see. Yeah, see, I think this beak is wrong. Not because you painted it wrong, but because AI is wrong. And that is a huge problem with AI. I may be wrong. I mean, it may just be the type of duckling. Yeah, none of their beaks turn up like that. That beak is wrong. And this is a huge issue with AI. So when you use AI, what I would recommend doing is use it, but go look up photos. You copied it beautifully. You're great at realism. AI, however, has issues with that. So the beak doesn't turn up that's not the shape of a duck's beak. So that the rest of it's not too bad as far as the shapes go. But that, again, just something to be very, very aware of when it comes to AI. The whole beak is a little bit off. Again, not because of what you did. The way it's attached, there are some. Here, let's download this one because this is actually pretty close to the same angle. Also makes me wonder if this is what AI decided to take it from. But let's look at the beak so you can see what I'm talking about. AI just gets stuff wrong a lot. So it's good to use, like, to come up with a general concept, I think is fine. But when you're working in realism, you've really got to go find photos. Yeah, like therapy art for you said the beak angle is off too. Yeah, that is what is going to happen with AI. So I think like the AI photo is beautiful. The concept, I actually like yours better. I love the way you painted the looser flowers, the background, that sage green. I think your painting is far superior. But I might go back and fix that beak. It's definitely something to just be aware of. Whoops. Let's see. Let's pull this up so you can see what I mean. Here is a more accurate, like there's an actual photo of the beak. Look at the difference in the shape. It's a big deal. Like I don't even know if that color, I mean, I don't know what type of duckling it is, so maybe they come different, but your painting is beautiful. Your painting is better than the AI, so you did a good job. I love the shading that you did. Actually, let's pull a few things. I want to talk about a few things that you improved on that I really like. You used, it looks like, some purples in the shading here, in the yellows, which, you know me, purples and magentas for your shading, so good job. And I like that you used purple because you also use purples and blues in the flowers, so you did a wonderful job choosing colors that the palette just works well together. I think wonderful job there. I love the lighting, and this is one of the things I really do like with AI reference stuff. They get some really pretty lighting. Like the backlighting on that is gorgeous. Now, it's not accurate because it doesn't match the flowers being backlit, and it looks like you pulled more highlights in the background of that to make yours stand out a little bit more. And these are, again, the things that we've got to watch if you're going to use AI. It's pulling random photos that don't fit together. As an artist, you know, you would need to like, if we combine multiple photos, we're trying to match light sources, we're trying to find similar lighting situations in general. So these are things that we would need to watch for with AI, because they're going to mix stuff and put it together, and you start accepting it as being correct. This is one of the things I don't like about AI. We start accepting things as being accurate that are horribly wrong. And it's not just AI when it comes to images, it's AI in general. You can ask AI something, hey, did such and such event happen? And it'll be like, no, this is what happened. And you look it up and it's not. That is not what happened. We've got video footage, we've got everything, and that is not what happened. And the AI is just like making crap up. I don't know like I didn't even know AIs had butts to pull things out of. But apparently they do. So you get some really interesting things. I think AI is super useful. Like I use it all the time. My email newsletters, I'll write something out and I'm like, art tips. Big long thing on like my, I just said that, my newsletter. And it doesn't make sense, or I repeated something too much. And so I'll go into AI and be like, can you reword this so it sounds better and makes more sense and gets to the point a little bit quicker? It does a wonderful job. I have to double check it because sometimes it'll change things and I'm like, wait, that word doesn't even mean what I said. Like, no. So you have to watch it when you use AI for anything. And it is much more so when it comes to images for references. I think I like it because it gave you a really cool concept with the flowers. I like the location of the flowers in that reference photo. If that duckling is that backlit with the white floof on the outer edge, then the flowers would also be, but the AI is not showing you that. And again, I think you did a great job. You go see your friend. Did you bring Nugget with you? Nugget's, there you go. Off he goes. He'll be back in a half hour or so. He goes for his play date with Nugget every evening. Anyway. So you can see what I mean though with just watching that when it comes to, and also this this little floof sticking out, I would take that out. I would just make that green. That wing, I know it's supposed to be part of the wing. You don't need to see that much of the wing when it's close in, and you wouldn't see fluff sticking out to that extent. So that part I would remove completely. But I would redo the beak is the biggest issue here. And there may be other issues as far as like the location of the eye. So this is what I would do. If I was going to use AI, I would do the photo you did. It's great. Now go find a photo of a real duckling in a similar angle and use that for the eye, for the beak, for all of the stuff that really matters, that has to be in the right location, drawn at the right angle. So if you're using AI, you just have to be very, very careful about what parts you use, like the lighting. I loved the lighting. Copy the lighting, but not the shape of the bird. The bird, that is where it starts getting twisted. And the biggest problem I have with that is I feel like this is actually a good example. Years ago in Fort Worth, I went down to this really big art show. It was a really cool show, and the lots and lots and lots of artists. There was one artist. His work was realistic. He did a good job. His lighting was good. His shading, he was good. But you'd look at it and you're like, something's not quite right. Every single one of these animals, something's not quite right. I can guarantee you what had happened is he probably uses reference photos, but he never perfected his drawing skills. And this is one of the reasons that I actually encourage you when you're learning to draw. It is very helpful if you trace the reference photo in part of the learning to draw. So what I would have students do to improve their drawing skills, trace that subject. So let's say a duckling or a tiger. Like in this case, actually, I think it was a lion that was super far off that this guy had done. And it was weird because his painting skills were good. His drawing skills were not. So he would do that. He had like a lion and it was just slightly skewed wrong to where you looked at it and it was like, kind of makes me uncomfortable because I can tell it's wrong, but I don't necessarily know why it's wrong. So what I would have a student do, trace that lion 10 times, then try freehanding it. Trace it more, then freehand it. The goal is not to have to depend on tracing. For those of us who can draw accurately, it just saves us time if we trace. But for those who can't draw accurately, by tracing, you actually improve your drawing skills. And what was happening with this guy, I guarantee you, because I've worked with hundreds of students over the years, he never did that. He never wanted to trace because he probably thought it was cheating. And he was always a little bit off on his drawings. Little bit off, or used a grid. I see this a lot with artists who use a grid, where the grid is slightly, if you don't get those measurements just right, things will be slightly off in the drawing, just enough to look at it, make you a little uneasy because you can tell it's off, but you don't necessarily know why. Like the average person doesn't walk up and go, oh, that line's drawn wrong because the face is too far here, the angle's a little off. I would see that. The average person, the average viewer who is not an artist, I was going to say you wouldn't see that, but you're artist too, you would see that, wouldn't necessarily know why it was slightly off, but he's been slightly off for so long. And I'm telling you, it had to have been years because his painting skills were strong. His drawing skills were weak. Because he had done it wrong for so long, he starts to accept the incorrect drawing as being accurate. That's what's normal to him. And this is, I think, what's going to start happening with AI. People use it as the drawing, use it for your lighting, use it for the concept, use it for the idea, and even that, there may be, some people may argue, don't even do that. But let's say, if you're fine with that, that's fine. But find a real photo of the duckling. Even the flowers, I don't care if they're the same. The duckling, when you're dealing with animals, you're going to want these to be more accurate because that slightly being off, people look and go, wait, what? So like what? Same thing as that guy with the lions. He was doing like African wildlife, I think was most of what he had there. And it was all slightly off. So either he's using I'm not a fan of the grid method. Some people do great with it. I don't like it. I think it's actually harder to get really good at that than just to learn to freehand on your own for most people. But yeah, that's something just to be aware of. Again, I think you did a great job. I love the background. I love how like faded these purple flowers are in the background. Such good work, such good shading. But AI, it can definitely make things more difficult for you. Now, one thing I do want to point out, I like the way it's blurry in the background, blurry in the foreground, and solid in the center. So this is something that's going to be a little bit different than what I was talking about with the birds that we just looked at, where that branch was out of focus. It wasn't adding to the depth or the atmosphere or anything to the piece, having an out of focus branch in the foreground like that. Whereas this does add to the softness around that vignette feel. Like this has a different look, so it works in this case, that softness, but the flowers are still pretty in focus. Let's pull up that bird one again. So and I don't even need the painting. I need the reference photo so you can see what I mean by this one added to, whereas the bird branch does not. God, you guys have submitted some great stuff. We got some nice, like, different things to talk about than we normally do. This is awesome. Both of these. Okay, see how that branch with that bird, it's not adding to anything. Now, the out of focusness that you're seeing at the foreground with the duckling, it does add to this overall soft feel all the way around that vignette. It pulls you into the duckling. That branch being out of focus in the foreground does not pull you into the piece at all. There's no benefit to the branch being there at all, I don't think. But there's definitely no benefit as far as putting the branch and leaving it out of focus. So it doesn't add to like the depth. You don't feel like it's not pulling you in the way that the blur on the duckling does. So that shows me or was what I was talking about before. So anyway, those are my tips. I like, again, that you did that looser cell on the flowers. I think it's beautiful, beautiful. Just watch with AI because it gets stuff wrong a lot. Okay. No, I don't need that. I need this and some tea. Okay, and thank you everyone for submitting. It is so helpful because these lessons help other people too with their work. So super, super helpful. Let's see. Did somebody ask something? Teresa said, if AI creates the new concept and you find a live image to look like the duck, you still need to get permission. So not from the AI, but like the duckling that I pulled up, I got it from Unsplash. So you still have to follow, like you can't just go get a photo from a duckling from a photographer. I wouldn't use that because we actually want to copy the shape and stuff. I would just go to Unsplash or Pixabay. There is so much free legal stuff to use there. Make your life easier. Not that sometimes people don't upload things they don't have permission to, so that's a whole other thing. But yeah, if you can't just go to like a photographer's website in that case, I would still go to Unsplash and Pixabay to get the actual animal that you're tracing. Like if you're going to trace it or that you're freehanding and making it exact, just keep it safe. Don't even risk getting yourself into trouble. Okay, so next, let's pull these over here. Ooh. Dang. Oh, look and see, it's big. Oh, that is an improvement on that reference photo too. Oh, the colors. Okay, let's pull this down a little bit. No, we're too big. I'd rather too big than too. There's an inappropriate joke in there. Yeah, I can see. I can shrink it down if I need to see it. Stop it, Lisa. Okay, so this is, let's see, Shaniqua. I apologize if I mispronounced that. She says, this is a painting I did of a camel's eye with the goal of realism. You nailed it. Wow. I brightened everything up a bit, especially the reflection in the eye, because I wanted that to be the focus. And this is such a good example, whereas an artist, if we copy something, we're going for realism. Like a common question people will say, usually people who paint in abstract and never wanted to learn to do things in realism because it's hard. What's the point? We can just take a photo. What's the point? This right here is the point. That is the point of realism. She took a not great photo, but still could see the detail and improved on it so much. Like you went from something that's a photo of an eye to art. Like you turned it into something absolutely stunning. This is the point of realism right here, is taking that photo, making it better. Anyway, back to what she says. Let's see, I brightened everything up a bit, especially the reflection in the eye, because I wanted that to be the focus. Going back, I would have traced the eye instead of freehand because I can notice some weird differences. I don't notice anything weird enough that I would worry about it, honestly. And I was just talking about the importance of tracing. I am for, I don't think that anything, yeah, there's stuff a little, I can see a few minor things, but they're so minor, I don't see anything that you did fine. Again, minor. Like I can see where like certain area, yeah, this could be up a lot. Minor, so minor. Who just got yelled? Or Matt just yelled. Either he got bit or somebody just tried to bite somebody else. But there's no, or he's watching sports. Could go either way. Are there sports on right now? Focus, Lisa. He's on the other side of the wall, so when I hear everything going on in there. Yeah, no, this would be one of those cases. I think you did fine. I wouldn't get super picky about it being exact. And I see what you're talking about. I can see the differences. So if I were doing the full animal, I think it would be a bigger deal. Or if you're doing a pet portrait and you really want it exact for that owner, it's going to be a bigger deal. And I'm not seeing anything big enough that I feel like it pulled away from the work, not being it more exact. She says, I plan to paint more Arabian camels, so I would love to hear your thoughts. P.S. Sorry for the name confusion. Monica. Okay, see, there we go. Monica is my social media name for YouTube, and Shaniqua, is it Shaniqua? Am I saying that right? Is my actual name. I hope your foot is feeling better. Thank you, it is. No, so this is wonderful. I love the blues, and I love that you pulled the blues in here. I don't actually have much to comment on. You've got a few things like here. Whoops, stop it. Wrong pen. That's not even a pen. Like, pull this out. Nope, cancel. There we go. This line here, we're kind of, it's a little there and it's a little bit lower. So yeah, we've got some differences, but because the focus is the eye, I don't think that makes a big difference. I think if you were doing the entire face, then it would make a big difference because you would notice things being off more. But because you're zoomed in the way you are, I don't think it really matters, honestly. This would be one of those cases. I mean, I talk about that a lot when we're painting things. Where can I save time versus where do I need to spend more time and make things exact? If I'm drawing a flower, I can miss a flower petal and I don't freaking care. Like, it still looks like a flower. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to worry about every little thing being perfect on a flower. But if I'm doing a portrait, I need to be a lot more picky on everything being exact. And I think this is kind of one of the same things. I don't care if the line's a little bit lower, a little bit higher, because we're zoomed in so much. I don't think anyone's really going to notice a difference. You and I will, because we're looking up close at this. But when you step away from it, and look at your work as a whole, I think you're fine. I also think it looks like it's a little bit overexposed. Most likely we're probably something closer to that. So when you take photos, make sure, especially when you've got a lot of darks, don't have it in bright direct light. I usually will go in a dark, when I paint something, if anything has a lot of darks, I usually will have to take photos of it in a darker area than I can things that are super light, just because that black wants to reflect. So just a tip when you take your photos. If not, you're going to have to spend a little bit more time with Lightroom or Photoshop to make it look more exact, because this does look more, I have a feeling it's more like what I just put, like have a cleaner look to it. So just watch that with photos when you've got the darks in there. But no, I don't think there's really, I don't have any complaints. I mean, I can see where there are differences, but you, like you said, you see those too. So you were saying you wish you had traced it. I think this is a good practice for not tracing things, because it doesn't have to be perfect. Still good practice. So yeah, I know, and it sounds like I'm super contradicting myself because I was just talking about making sure everything's perfect, or you start accepting things as being inaccurate. In that case, it might be a good habit to trace it, to make sure as you're painting those details, when you're getting into like super realism like this, it is a good habit that you're just used to seeing things accurately. But as far as like just judging the finished result, it's beautiful. There's nothing I would say you should go back and change. But yeah, tracing and getting it exact, it is better as far as starting to accept things like we were talking about with the guy who was doing things just slightly off. You don't want to get to where you are accepting everything is slightly off as being correct. So there's that side of things. I can argue, like seriously, I can have an entire debate with myself on the pros and cons of everything. But so those would be some pros of tracing, is just continuously keeping you as making sure it's exact. But on an eye, as far as like the finished piece goes, if I was just judging the quality of it, it's great. I don't see anything that, like, it's not so far off that it bothers me in any way whatsoever. I love the changes you made. I love that you pulled the blues into the fur around the eye. That was absolutely genius. I love just the richness in a lot of the colors here. I think you did such a good job. The fur texture is wonderful. Everything is really, really good there. Now, you could do a little bit more of a glaze to make this area here. See how this is slightly different? Or actually that more, not this. Whoops, I forgot. I didn't have a separate layer, whatever. You get the point. That you could glaze something a little bit darker right over that area. And that's just as a glaze. You're not even repainting anything. You're just tinting it with, well, in this case, I just probably do black with a little bit of blue in it, because that seems to be most of this. Whenever I do, for me, if I'm doing any of these tan colors, I'm typically going to pull more magenta in if you want to get more richness to it. Like, well, yeah, richness to it. That actually works. But you could pull a little bit more magenta. But like if you want to add other colors, that would be when I would probably pull like deep violet. But no, beautiful, beautiful work. And like I said, nothing about that makes me look at it and go, oh, it's a little bit off. But if you had done the full face and you had been a little bit off this much all over the full face, that's when I feel like it ends up being a bigger deal, where you really start noticing things being, you know, not quite perfect. But beautiful work. Okay. Whoops. Next, let me download these. We got a reference photo. We got a reference photo taped to a box. I bet I'll get an answer when I read this. Come on, save. and the photo. Are these big? Oh, good. They're big. This, we're going to be looking at lens work. Let me find these. Oh, Unsplash Plus. If you, okay. Let me read this, but we may need to talk about that. So this is from Lynn. She said, I followed you and applied your teaching to my art journey since 2019. Yay! You inspired me to try pan pastels in March. Bigger yay! This is my 5th piece, and I feel like I struggle more with the blurry background parts than the up close detail parts. I was going for close. 8 by 10, 5 by 7 insert. Reference from Unsplash. Thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, so here's the thing with Unsplash. This photo you did is Unsplash Plus. You have to pay for those ones. So not everything on Unsplash is free. Technically, you could get, I mean, are they going to notice? Probably not, but that's when you're supposed to pay for. See how it has the plus on it and all over the watermark? The fact that there's a watermark, now maybe you did pay for it because I don't see if the watermark, maybe it just didn't print. I don't see the watermark on that. If you're watching right now, let me know on that. But just for anyone who is looking for reference photos, be aware of that. You're not supposed to just take photo, like you watch the Unsplash Plus, they have their paid versions and they're not, oh, Lynn's like, oops. I mean, they're not going to notice. I would not be running around making prints of this one unless you went and bought it. And even if you buy them, I don't know what the licensing is like. So not all, like you have a lot of, I know it gets confusing, but you have a lot of websites. I'm trying to think of some of them off the top of my head, and I can't. Shutterstock, and that's one. There, I thought of one. But their licenses can be weird. I actually contacted them about using something as a reference photo, and the license where it's like, okay, you can get this photo for $25. But if you're going to paint it, you want to make prints or you want to sell it, suddenly they want thousands. Like when I actually contacted them directly, this was years ago. I don't know what it is now. I don't know if they've changed that. But for artists using the work on a lot of these paid services, they are not all okay for, like, even if you buy the rights to it, it's not, oh, gift for your niece. I'm not worried about that. You're fine. You're not going to get in trouble. But, I mean, I watch out for it going forward. May as well keep everything all, on the up and up, but they're not going to likely be coming after you for anything. But do be aware of that, because a lot, and I've seen people were like, well, I bought the rights from Shutterstock. Which rights? They are not, the legal stuff is freaking confusing, and I don't want you guys to get in trouble. So I just try, go with stuff that is just free to use for everybody, or like wildlifereferencephotos.com. If you're going to pay for stuff, that's the only one that I pay for because I trust them and I know it's all legal to use in your artwork. There was another one I did some sponsors with. God, I don't even remember them anymore. What website was that? I don't remember. Now, there's, at the time, you were allowed to use it. Like that was, they contacted artists like, hey, tell them about our thing, and you could pay for it, and it was a good deal, and you got good reference photos. That there are some that will let you use it as reference photos for your art, including to sell and make prints. But some of them have really weird licensing that don't allow that. So watch that. Even if you are going to buy it, make sure it's one that allows for art reference, because like I said, they're weird for what they allow you to. So this, yeah, that's just when you see the Unsplash, those are not free to use. You're not supposed to use those ones. So, you're supposed to pay for those ones. But anyway, that gives you that. So let's move on from that. This is beautiful. This is, and I think, look at the photo that you took here. So we're going to talk more about the photos that we take. This is a black mat. I know which mat that is. That is black. And this is all being very overexposed because you're out in daylight. Usually when I take photos, it's going to be indoors. Indirect light is usually the best. I try it in multiple locations, and then I take it into Lightroom and I try to make it as close to what I'm seeing. Like I'll put the artwork next to me somewhere and try to like make it as close as possible. But that is definitely something that I recommend doing. I like that you put the photo above it here. Now let's go to what your actual questions were. I just wanted to touch on all that. Let's see. You struggle more with the blurry parts than the up close details. Are you using, because you said you're using pan pastels, couple things. You want to be using, or you might, not you want, you don't have to because I don't use it half the time, but their colorless blender is pretty helpful. It does tend to, I feel like it lightens or fogs up when I use really dark areas, but not that much. I really like the colorless blender for just softening some stuff up. So that certainly helps. Lynn said, I get too much glare in the house, so I thought it was outside better. Where are you taking the photos? Don't set them up in the house. I lay mine flat on the floor and stand over it and shoot down is usually where I get the best. So try that. Let's see, and try it in different rooms because that will make a difference. Like some rooms in my house are great, some are not, and some it depends. If it's overcast, I'm going to use this room, and if it's not overcast, I'm going to use that room. Like it's a whole thing of figuring out where to get the best photos of your work. But this area in here, this is definitely so when you're doing something that's out of focus, let's zoom in on this one because we can look at everything up close. I love this here. Those flowers and the butterfly, you did a better job than the photo. I love the detail and the contrast you got. It looks so, so good. Now with monarch butterflies, try to get a little bit more, and the reference photo doesn't have it, but just as a tip, I try to get a little bit more of the reds and oranges in there so you've got some more variation so it's not just one solid flat orange, unless I'm doing something where the butterflies are in a distance. But when you're zoomed in on this, look up some other photos of monarchs. This is just a side tip. This is not making it exact to your photo, but just improving on it. Let's go. This one's a great one. I'm going to download it because it's free. I think I'm hilarious. I don't think anyone else thinks I'm as funny as I think I am. Pull this one over here real quick. Now you copied your photo, great. But look at this one. I love the darker orange. Now this is a little bit different because it's backlit, but you've got these darker color. I think have I done that one? No, I think I used this one in one of my paintings recently. I used that reference photo with, anyway, moving on. But look at the difference in the lights and the darks and just getting some variation in these deeper reds. I just think it looks so pretty. And that's something that I personally look for when I'm looking for monarch butterfly or any butterfly paintings. Instead of being one solid color, oh, here's a really good one. Let me download, it's also free. Let me download this one and show you. And again, this is just a side tip. You did a great job copying the reference photo there, but look at the difference in the oranges. How many oranges, now this is a macro photo, so it's going to be a bit different, but you've got so much with the darks and the lights. I would like when you find a good photo, go find a photo like this as well and make your colors match this one to make the other, like the other position or whatever look better. I just think it looks much, much nicer. So just a quick tip there. I think it will add a lot more. And it's the same, like pulling some of those reds that you've got in that flower looks amazing in the foreground. Now, here's where our problem is. We've got like the mushroom looking thing happening back here. Look how soft it is up here. And the reason for it is harsh edges. So when you're doing anything that's supposed to be soft, you don't want harsh edges. You can have detail as far as like, or higher contrast with your lights and your dark, but your edges all should be soft. So what I would do is either you could take your pinky finger, you could take probably, I have a feeling a cotton swab or a Q-tip might remove too much product, but just kind of smudge it out a little bit. Just go around that area, or a clean soft tool, just go around that, just soften that up so that it's not a harsh edge, because it is drawing my attention there in a way you don't want. I would definitely go back and soften that up. The rest of it is actually fine. This here, like the other side, the detail, that's all fine. This here, I would do one of two things. I would either get rid of it completely. So you've probably sprayed Spectra Fix over it already. You can go right over it anyway. Cover it with the blacks and the greens and just try to cover that area as much as you can. And it's going to make the rest of the piece show up even better. It doesn't need to be there. That is an orange, like it's weird. It's not blended out well. And it's drawing my attention back there. Like, why are these mushroom things like what? Because they don't even look like flower buds to me at that point. Like they look like mushrooms. I would remove them. I think they're pulling the attention away from your subject, which you did such a good job. Those flowers look so good. Get rid of them. They don't need to be there. Make your life easier. So yeah, I would blur, I would remove it from the mat, and I would re-blur that whole section out, and then you can spray Spectra Fix over the whole thing again when it's done. So it's no big deal to work over it. You probably just because you're going darker, it's actually very easy to do. You may still see a hint of those in the background. Great. Now you got more depth. They're in the background. Doesn't matter. But I would get rid of those. And actually, let me just show you what I'm talking about, how much better that could look. If we just, let's put another layer here. Look at me remembering to add a layer. Oh, it's already been given away. Okay. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's obviously the person, I'm sure, loves it who has it. But watch if we can just get rid of those. See what it will do to the foreground when we start just kind of your subject now will stand out. Let's lighten that up because I'm a bit dark. Look at the difference in how the subject stands out. You're not being drawn off to the mushroom thingies. Like just pulling attention, and then a little bit more detail, a little bit more at the darker reds and oranges in the wings. Your lights are all there. You just need some more darks in there. The other thing is, if you watch the wings on some of the, let's see, some of the more detailed, I shut my photo or closed it already, didn't I? Let's pull this back over. Is that the one? Yeah. Look at the white. You can make it all white, but if you look close, look at how many, like we've got darker oranges, we've got some shading in there. So you can make some of it a little bit more dirty, not quite so in your face white. It can look good. Now, like when I do live streams, I'll usually just leave it white because we're limited on time, and I'm trying to, well, not now that we're doing the new way we're doing live streams. I'll usually just leave them white because we're getting through it. It still looks pretty. But if you want to bump it up even more, make it a little bit more advanced, get some shading in there on the white so they're not all just solid white. And the same with the oranges. Get some of those deeper reds and oranges in there would look really good. Okay. Beautiful work. But yeah, when you're struggling with that out of focus background, just soften. You don't want harsh edges. That's the trick. Soft edges, just smudge the edges between any two colors, lights, darks, all of it. Okay. This one is from Angela. And this reference photo. So this reference photo comes from Wildlife Reference Photo. So this is one of your legal places that you can buy it. And it is intended for artists. Now I am showing it to you, but also saying if you wanted to use this photo or anything like it, you got to go buy it from them. And I think they raised their prices a little bit, but it's still a huge, like really good deal. You get so many for a certain amount, like 5 for $20, something like, I don't remember what it is, but it's a really good deal. They have amazing photos. So again, wildlifereferencephotos.com is where the reference photo you're about to see came from. And if you want to use this, you can get this photo. You can get tons of other photos. No, I am not sponsored by them. I think I did a sponsorship with them, like an old video. They gave me a few free photos to in exchange, so it wasn't like a big paid one. But they have one great landscape photos too. I have not looked for those, Nick. I need to take a look at that. But anyway, that is where this photo is coming from. Just so you're aware, this is a paid photo. You can go get that photo too. You can get tons of photos. Definitely check out wildlifereferencephotos.com. They're really the only site that I go to if I'm buying reference photos. They're who I'm buying them from. Well, no, I pay for Tidal Gardens Patreon too, so I get their reference photos. But they're really the only ones that I go and you pick out the photos that you want, because look how good that photo is, how clear and clean that photo is. That is an amazing, wow, the lighting. Oh, I love that photo. So anyway, again, that photo comes from wildlifereferencephotos.com. It is a paid service, but man, some of those are way better than what you're finding on Unsplash and Pixabay. It is worth it. So just quick little plug for them. Okay, so this is Angela. She said, Lisa, my reference photo comes from Wildlife Reference Photos. I'm going for realism. I want this elk to look like he's literally coming out of the darkness. I know what you're talking about. This piece is called Out of the Darkness, Hope, and will be auctioned off at an elk benefit for a person of our community fighting cancer. It is on black Inktense, 16 by 20, with pan pastels and colored pencils. Should I soften the edges with the pan pastels or the pencils? Yes, always yes on that. When you want it coming out of the shadows, yes. Or just make it darker. I'm stuck. Thank you so much. See, this is the information I need. If you're sending me something where you're stuck and having problems, this is exactly what I'm looking for, because I need to know what it is that you're stuck on, and that is perfect. So for those who are going to submit next month, more information, please. Thank you so much. I learned so much from you over the last couple of years, and this is the only reason I felt confident enough donating this run. Oh, that's awesome. Your tea came just in time. The benefit is at the end of this month, and I need to finish this guy. Okay. So let's get to work. Yes. So what I would do, you're on black Inktense. I would take your pan pastels and I would go black right on top of that. It's okay if the brushstrokes show a little bit. I don't care that it's perfectly soft, but I think it will feel more complete. It's also going to make it easier for you to where you talked about blurring the edges. So you can blur the edges kind of how it is, not the antlers. Antlers, crisp. Head is within the guy, so that's crisp. The edges that I would soften a little bit are going to be out here, and I want to pull highlights on the feet. So the feet right now, this is he looks like he's floating. Yes, the legs are black, but that makes sense in the original photo because he's not in the black. So in this case, I'm glad you came to me because we got some stuff to fix. In this case, we need to lighten those up. So I want to see the black of the paper darker, and we're just going to take this, and I can probably do auto contrast or auto tone, and nope, image, auto tone, nope. Sometimes it'll make it dark enough for us. We're not going to worry about it then. But go over the background with the black pants or even though it's black, you can still put a layer of black and it'll just look richer in this case, especially as big as it is. I think it's going to be better. Plus, it's going to allow you to soften that edge better. So I think French fry is on his way back. Come on, Beepa. Oh, he hit the glass. Poor baby. Did you see that? He was so excited to come in. I've got glass doors over there. He wanted in here?
He flew off my arm in the hallway and rubbed the door.
Oh, he did French fry. Oh, okay. I know, baby bird. Shh, quiet. Okay. So if you were to get the black pan pastels, it's going to over the black. It's going to look that much darker, and it's going to be that much easier for you to smudge these edges a bit. So if we and I'm only going to be able to do this really with the color that it is to make this work. So I want to see yours darker. I'm basically going gray, but I want to soften right in here. Just a little bit. Not a lot. I'm softening the black too, unfortunately, but just to see what we're talking about. Like, make it darker. It doesn't make sense that we're quite as light as what we are here. I'm going to take a darker red even. Not that much. You need to be way more translucent. I want to pull some darks. Maybe even, you know, any blues. You do have kind of a purpley tone. What if we used that? Purpley gray. Let's pull some of these. He can't be coming out of the dark if his butt's that light. He needs to, we want to push that back just a bit. But now the other thing that I want to do is take some of these lights, and we have got to pull this out. We've got to make these stand out a little bit more. Not a ton. See, now here's the thing. It's not correct. I'm not making it lighter because it's correct. I'm making it lighter because the artwork doesn't make sense where he's floating and he has no legs. We need to make it obvious that he's got some legs. So that is why I'm pulling some of these highlights. And you can see some of the highlights in the work, but we need to make sure. Hi, Beepa. Beep. His nickname is Beepa because he's constantly saying beepa, beepa, beep. He usually flies up and goes, beep. Yeah, beep. That wasn't beep. That's just a loud chirp. But we need to make sure that we can see these a little bit. Now, you'll often hear me talk about if something's in the shadows, in the dark, leave them that way. It doesn't make sense. There's never an always rule. That's one of the problems with art. Like, I love in life for there to be always do this. In this scenario, we always do that. In that scenario, we always do that. That's just not how art is. We sometimes have to adjust my general rules. So my general rules is like the lighter area is a harsh line, let it be harsh, or the darker area, if something's in the shadow, let it be in the shadow. This is one of those cases where it just doesn't make sense because it looks like his body is floating and where are his legs? So we're going to need to make those stand out just a little bit. And this can be kind of dark, but not, we just need a hint of lights in there, a little bit more than what you've got. We're going to pull those out. Now you could do these with more magentas or more blues or purples if you wanted to pull more magenta into this, which I would. You can do some of the highlights with more magenta, but we need that hint so we can see he is, and even look at the highlights. You can see the highlights on his hooves. Throw some of that in there. I'm not using the right color, but you get the idea. Like this just is, we can see a highlight on the back of that one. Throw that in there too. This one's separate. His hoof is actually down here. It looks like his leg poof comes down there. We've got highlights on this face that we are definitely going to need to pull out way, way more and make the darks darker because he's kind of getting lost. This shape is, are you going in my hair? So we need to make sure that we can separate his head from his body because it is kind of a weird angle. So make sure that you overdo that. Let's even brighten this more. Oh, I should have done this as a separate layer. I know what I'll do it. I'll fix this in a second. Now we really want to get some highlights on these antlers. I mean, this is kind of like the thing that stands out so much. Don't be shy. Get that in there. I'm going to change my, now I can keep it. Let's see, this one comes straight, so this goes up. That is lighter, but this needs to be a lot darker in order to work. I'm going to go even darker for yours. Obviously, take a little bit more time. Make yours better than what I'm doing. Whoops. This needs to be way more opaque or translucent. And then these edges, you can soften some of those a little bit in the back so it fades a little bit more. Like we've got this super dark right in here. Don't be shy about that contrast. We've got some shading in here. Drop that a lot. Let that separate. We've got that separate. I'm going to darken right behind the head a little bit more so that his face stands out a little bit more. But also, look at all these darks we've got in here. We really need to get those darks in. If the darks aren't dark enough, the lights won't look light enough. Same thing here. Look how dark this needs to be. And then the darks in the legs, pull some of those darker. Look in here again with the dark, and I would pull a little bit more magenta because tan colors, you know me. I mean, I'm just using black right now to hype up the contrast. Let's go a little bit more here. Make sure those antlers, are, like all the little bits, are very well separated. That is one area I don't want super sharp or soft edges on. Like you can kind of soften a little bit, but for the most part, those highlights, I want those really sharp. I want to pull those highlights out even more. This is not the right brush. See those shadows on those antlers? Get that in there. That is so important. So that extra detailing, let me pull out, you're over here. Oops. Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. I don't need you. Nope, wrong thing. You. Go. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so look at the difference. Just adding that little bit more, we pushed his butt into the darkness. We pulled out those highlights on that those legs. That is so important. So now they're dark, but he doesn't look like it's just floaty body. So we want to make sure, pull out highlights where they don't exist. I mean, they're of the right shape for the legs, but there aren't really that many highlights on those legs, which made sense in a dark green background, but coming out of the black, we've got to pull something. And you can, pull more highlights. You can play with that. But yeah, and I would probably put black for that background. It's not that you can't shade it without, but it's going to make it a lot easier to soften some of those edges of the body coming out of that dark. I think it'll just look a lot more complete. So those are my tips for this one. Beautiful work. You are off. And the great thing is you've already done the hard stuff. The hard part's done. This is the fun part. This is the part that I enjoy so much in art, where the parts that it starts to really come together and really look good. So there we go. Okay. So next, don't chew on my earring, sir. The only bird I like. He goes for play dates. It's so funny. He loves his friends, but sometimes he plays too much with his friends and then starts having tantrums. Oh, Lynn has a super chat for you, French. I don't want to say it too loud. I don't want the boys to hear it. Do you want a super chat? You're kind of falling asleep back there. Look what I got. Baby bird. I can't see you. Where's the camera? Here. Let's zoom in. Are you back there? How far? Oh, you're way in my hair. Do you want that? You want it? Where are you? Come here, baby. Wake up. Come here. Come here. Oof. Here. Say thank you. He was too sleepy. He didn't realize it. You're going to take it back in my hair, and this is why I will have sticky hair later. Pistachio hair. I mean, I guess it could be worse. Could have been those veggies with onions, or not onions, but bell peppers and stuff. That would have given me stinky hair. Okay. Thank you so much, Lynn. Let's see. Did I download? I don't know if I downloaded. I'm going to do it again. No, I didn't. Download. So this is from Howard Jim Dillman. Said, attached below is my latest colored pencil artwork. Let me pull this up. This looks cool. Oh yeah, I already downloaded them. Well, now I'm getting two. So we're going with AI again. Another thing to watch with AI. This is absolutely an AI photo. And I bet you there's a very good chance if it was posted on Pixabay, it was not listed as AI. They are so bad about AI photos listed as real photographs. So be aware of that too. And that can be difficult if it's a subject you're not super familiar with. He may know that, but we'll find out in the comment. This is my latest colored pencil, Lionfish, and the reference photo. This work is drawn on 11 by 17. We went big, 14 by 17. Fabriano Bristol vellum paper, 12 by 15 drawing size. I used polychromos colored pencil. I struggled with the background looking dull and grainy, lower left. I also struggled while using black and white pencils. I'm looking for vibrance and realism, and my work often gets lost in the details, such as the fit on the left. I use the grid system, which helps. I also have Prismacolor Premier 150 set. I'm currently looking to purchase another colored pencils, such as Caran d'Ache, Derwent, etc. Okay, so you may not even know. I don't know if you know that second one. It's a cute photo, but that is an AI image. That is not accurate. So this is another one. Okay, you go. Let go of my finger. Yours looks more realistic than the AI version. So watch that, because I'm seeing this. So Pixabay is the one that I'm seeing it the most on. I don't know if I've seen it much on Unsplash. Maybe I have, but I've seen it so much on Pixabay. Sometimes they're kind of good and sometimes they're very not. Like this one's pretty obvious to me that it's AI. So be aware of that when you're looking for reference photos, depending on where, did you say where, don't eat that. Don't eat my earring. Depending on where you're looking, AI is not always being listed as AI, so that can make it a bit challenging. Let's see. Yeah, so here's the thing. You're using Bristol vellum. Bristol vellum. I hate Bristol vellum for colored pencil. I've used it, and I used to use it a lot because I'm thinking it's smoother. It'll be easier for it to not be grainy and gritty. No, it's a million times worse because there's nothing for the pencils to grip to. It's the wrong level of smoothness. Like I worked on, I only did it once. What was it? Was it actual like vellum paper or the clear stuff, the translucent stuff? Not tracing paper, but the other stuff. That's one thing. Bristol vellum, I hate it for colored pencil. I don't even love it for graphite. Like I really don't use it often. I don't like it at all. That's not to say that you can't do good work with it, but I mean, obviously your work is beautiful, but that's why you're having problems. Two problems. One, the polychromos, and I've done this too on Bristol vellum with polychromos, it's going to be a lighter. Like I had a really hard time getting the colors to be as dark as what I could get on Fabriano Artistico hot press watercolor paper. Well, the old one, I don't love the new one. Now I use Arches hot press watercolor paper. I can get my colors so much darker and so many more layers because there's just that little bit of extra tooth. And it's weird because you would think, well, smoother would be better because I don't want to see the tooth. Nothing for the pencils to grip to. So it just makes it a lot more difficult, I find, to get rid of the grainy gritty look when doing that. And even with, I blend with odorless mineral spirits, and I still sometimes was really struggling. Even though I got rid of the grainy gritty look, I still had a hard time getting my colors as rich and as deep as what I was looking for. So changing the paper, I think, is going to be the answer for you. I would either try Inktense, or try, even like you can get the white one, so your colors are still bright and vivid, but Inktense has a lot of tooth. However, I don't get as smooth. Like if I want something, I'm going for something that looks like a photograph, I'm going to go with Arches hot press watercolor paper. Another option would be I know, are you tired? Another option would be sanded paper. That is going, I mean, it's kind of, it has a softer, like velvety look to it, but there's only one that's light, or that's archival on the front and the back, and that is the brush and pencil Luxe Archival. The other ones claim that they're archival. They're only archival on the front. The back is not. We've done testing with it to check. The back is not acid free. So, and it did soak through the front. I tested that myself with other papers, and I'm not sure if it's because they were stored next to each other. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's contaminated. So that's just something to keep in mind when it comes to sanded paper. Luxe Archival, brushandpencil.com makes it. That is the only, you can get it on Blick, but it's expensive. So, you know, if you're somebody who spends a lot of time on your work like you do with a lot of detail, you might really like it. So that may be something to look into. But Inktense or Arches hot press, like if I was doing this one, I would personally use Arches hot press watercolor paper. Without a doubt, would be what I went with. I usually only use the Inktense if I'm going to do my pan pastel base, but for colored pencil and I want detail and I want richness and I want those colors really vivid, Arches hot press watercolor paper. Hot press though, you don't want cold press, too bumpy. So that is what I would go with. I mean, even honestly, a mixed media paper is probably going to give you better results than what you're getting with the vellum. That's your whole the whole challenge you're having right now is the paper. I know, because I had the same exact thing. So the work you did, though, I think you did a beautiful job. I love the detail. I love the shading you've done is great. I want you to do it again on hot press watercolor paper and see how much better it is to get the rich, especially down at the bottom. Super, super grainy gritty, but like Bristol vellum, it makes it a lot harder. So make your life easier. Get a hot press watercolor paper, even if it's not Arches. Arches is my favorite. Fabriano makes it, and I used to love theirs. Their Fabriano Artistico extra white hot press was what I used to go with. Not anymore. It's not the same. So unfortunately. They changed it. They said they didn't, but they did. Everyone saw that everyone knew they did. This was years ago. So yeah, Arches is my go-to now, but that's going to make the biggest difference for you. Beautiful work. I think you did a great job. Even, I think you said you freehanded it. You use the grid method for this is fine. Yeah, it's everything I would say. Get your darks darker, smooth this. It's the paper. It's not, I don't even think it's you. I think it's the paper. So yeah, that's, if you're going to keep using this paper, you really need to make sure those pencils are sharp. And if you're using something that has a higher like wax content, so your Derwent Light Fast or Caran d'Ache Luminance, they kind of can help when you get to the burnishing, but even then there's not a lot for it to grip to. So yeah, paper is making it way easier for you. Now this is interesting. Art Therapy for You said laminating that one might brighten it up. Don't laminate your art. You know how I said there's never, never and never in art. There's always some. Never laminate your art. It is not archival. You ruin it. It causes, there's so many. Don't laminate your work. If you're making like cute, like art that's going to be a bookmark or something, like, go and laminate it. But like artwork, do not laminate your artwork. So I love that you brought that up, because that's, I never even think to mention that. So I'm really glad you did. Okay. Yeah, she says not for archival, yeah. Okay, Lily is next. So I don't know if you wanted more advice on that. I mean, like I said, the paper is the problem that you're running into. Okay. I haven't looked at any of these before the live stream, except for the first one. I did look at the robin one. Was it a robin? The birds. I looked at those just because I had to pull something up first, but those are the only ones I saw. Okay, let's see what we are looking at. Lily said, my painting, 24 by 36, that is big. Acrylic base, oil on top, 98% finished, not happy with it, having a hard time getting back to it. Reference photo I paid for. I lightened the photo so that I could make out details. My vision for this was dramatic in acrylics. I repainted the background over 10 times, gave up and went pretty instead of dramatic. Not because dramatic, because I could not give it a decent, storm coming in sky. So now it's basic blue sky, green grass, blah, yuck, need to finish it. I wanted a big storm rolling in sky with the horse exploding into the viewer's face. I failed. The horse is okay. The background is disappointment. Okay, let's take a look. I'm trying not to, I'm moving extra stiff because I've got a baby bird in my hair. So we're good because we're accurate, because it's Lily, so we know that. The darks, I would definitely go a bit darker. There's like a blue. I'm not sure if that's the tint of the photo, but the blue in here, I would not have. I know I always say pull the background colors into it, too blue. I don't like the level of blue here, but brownish sepia tones here is not working together. Like, that is the first thing, and I know your background was the thing you were talking about. That is the first thing that is standing out to me is, and that might be, is it that the black is picking up a blue tint? It might be. But that blue-gray color, we need to pull those areas together a bit. There is something not balanced there. Your lighting, I like how strong the light versus the shadow is on the legs here. I like that. The blue back here. And again, is it, Lily, you're here, aren't you? Yeah, I'm not loving the difference in cool tones versus warm tones. And I'm not sure if it's just because you're not done. Maybe you're going to pull those blues over on the rest of it. That actually is possible. I don't know. But that needs to be brought together so that they look like they are going together more. So yeah, if we look at this one, we've got, I see where you've got, yeah, that needs to be, I would just make those darks darker. It might be the reflection, but even here, I'm seeing these blue tones back here and nothing over here. So I know that is not your question. So let's talk a little bit. I like the details. You pulled in a wheel. You did a great job here. Okay. You are not liking the dramatic background. Did you Photoshop? Well, no, you didn't. So what you want to do whenever you're changing a background that much, and I'm going to show you, okay, it's glare. Okay, that'll do it. What I would do. So this is our photo. You lightened it. Well, we'll go with the dark one. It doesn't really matter for what I'm going to do. Sometimes this works well with Photoshop. Let's pull up. I'm going to add another layer though, because sometimes it does good and sometimes it very much does not. Whoops. it's thinking about removing the background. Let's see if it'll make my life a little bit easier. Are you like, what are you thinking to do? What are you trying to do here? Oh, duh. I already did it. Not great. Let's see if it'll let me remove. I never remember because I don't do this way that often. Oh yeah, that'll work. Let's pull some of this out just to get an idea. Whatever, I'm doing the worst monkey job you have ever seen. Okay, let's now generate a background, or let's go find a background. I want a field and stormy clouds. I'm gonna head over to Unsplash, and we're gonna drag and drop right into this. This is how I decide that what I want for a background. So I know we're talking about what you should do moving forward on yours, but I want to give you guys some tips when you are trying to come up with a background. I do all of this before I ever start. So let's type in storm clouds and field. Let's see if I find anything dramatic that's usable. I don't know. We're getting, well, we'll just do a couple of these just to give you an idea of what I would do. So let's download you. None of these are quite right. And I might spend hours and hours and hours finding the exact photo. But I want to find out before I hit the canvas, because otherwise you are going to be very upset when things aren't coming out the way you thought they would when you had the idea to do stormy clouds or whatever. So, and I'll show you some more examples as well in a moment here. So let's close you. Whoops. And I am just going to get an idea. My computer's going to think about it for an hour. What are you doing? What, we really were going to think about it for an hour, or what's happening here? What are you doing? Why are you not doing what I want you to do? Let's try this. I don't know what's happening right now. Whatever. I am going to put things into whatever it is that I am interested in, and I want to find out what that's going to look like first. So obviously, not the greatest example here, but I can start getting some ideas. I always, always, always do it like this before I start, just to get some ideas. And I may have 20 different photos, like 20 that I think might work. And I will sit there trying them all on to decide what might work for what I'm going for. Obviously, you've got to change a whole lot of stuff. Like we've got to make the grassy area work. We've got to make all of that actually work. But we need to do, let's see, whoops. Let's find a few others. Ooh, that's kind of neat. Download free. Because one of the things that often happens is what I end up going with is nothing like what I thought I wanted. Like I'll be so sure that a certain look is what I want, and I realize, oh, that actually looks better. I'm not saying any of these are great choices. I'm just saying these are the things that I do in order to figure out what what the end result is going to be. And let me show you really quick an example of this. I'm going to pull in a bunch of photos. Did I save them? Actually, I might not be able to. I don't know if I saved them. There was a horse that I recently painted. That was under oils, I think. Horse, not that horse, yeah, this horse. And what I do is by taking so many backgrounds, I'm able to show a ton of options. Yeah, I've got all of these over here. Wait, is this the one? Let me see if this one, if it's the right one, it'll actually be faster. No, I want to paint that though. That was one. Let me show you guys this, by the way. Oh, I don't have the background on there. That is going to be a future painting. Anyway, that's not what I'm looking for. So we'll do it. Color swatch is large, 3/4. Copy. Is it this one? We're thinking about it. Thinking about it. thinking slowly about it. Maybe gonna freeze. Okay, so here's the horse. This is the head that I decided I wanted to use. I took the photo myself, and I will try on, and I send to the client a bunch of these to get an idea of what type of background I didn't know what she wanted. So I just try on a million. This one was AI. Actually, the one that I went with, yeah, this one was AI generated. So that painting, I use AI sometimes too. And I blurred it out. I'm almost always going to blur it out. So here's what without the smart filters. Let me see. That's what it looked like originally. But I wanted mine blurry. So I put a gloss in, however you say it, blur over it. And that's how I came up with the layout for the painting I actually did. I'll show you guys the actual painting so you can see what I'm talking about. Which one is the finished one? I don't know where the real one is, so we're just going to pull this up with the thumbnail. So that was my actual painting. Once the oil painting was over, that's not the better photo. That's not the good photo. I don't know where the good photo is, but that's how I come up with it. I go through first, and even with AI, the interesting thing is with that, oh wow, it saved all this. These were the AI ones because I was like, I don't even know what she wants. Does she want green grass? Does she want... I tried on a bunch of different looks just to get an idea. And yeah, it's AI. I'm probably not going to copy it exactly, although I blurred out the one. Now, they originally did not have any gloss and any blur. That's what that looked like originally. I'll take the blur off so you can see. But I was able to go through and just get an idea of different backgrounds. So I was like, maybe she wants something crazy. Maybe she wants damask. Maybe, like, who knows what she wants. I had to take so many photos to figure out. Like, I genuinely had no idea what we were going to go with. But to figure out what would work, I mean, there's just tons of them. And then I just blurred it up. Oops. The thing's not showing. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, that's what I do when I'm coming up with an idea first, because I actually thought on that one, damask would look really cool in her office. The person this is going for, I hated it. Did not like any of the ideas I came up with. That's why I need to do a background to get a general idea first of what'll look good. Do I need to copy it exact? No, you're going to have to fix it so that the angle, the perspective, it all works with your piece, but it gives you a much better idea on what to do next. So that is my first tip, is to, find, and even on something like this, like maybe this is cool, but I want something darker, like, maybe we're fading into those clouds more. Whoops, that is not what I meant to do. Come back. We can darken that up if we want, like just the clouds to be more extreme. We can change the clouds. We can be like, okay, so that ground works and we've got this smoky looking background. Maybe I then want, I want to get rid of that line. Maybe then I want, like bigger clouds, and then I can try different clouds on. But this is what I do when I have an idea in my head where I want something dramatic, or if I want something coming out of the dark. I mean, I do this a lot. I don't know if I have any saved, but I'll do this with my photos before so going back to the previous critique with the elk, I will do the same thing, make the background black and figure out what edges I want soft, what I need to make brighter. I figure all of that out before I ever touch the canvas, just because half the time my ideas are terrible. I want to find out that they're terrible before I start with a canvas. So it just makes everything a lot easier. So that's my first tip, is just try on a bunch of different backgrounds until you figure out what it is that you're looking for. Now in this specific case, let's look at your, whoops, pull the artwork back up. So I've got more things open than I need to. Nope, that's not the one. There's nothing wrong with your sky. Your sky is very pretty. I see what you mean. I don't know if I would really do much else with it though. In this case, I would come up with photos, like you would have to start over really to go back and change the sky or do anything dramatic. I see what you mean, where you feel like it's blah. Keep up with the details. Keep layering the way you've been doing. I would just finish it. I don't know about these trees though. I feel like the trees are taking away from the horse, not adding to anything in the piece. I might get rid of those. The lighting, the shadow, and the grass, like I really like what you have here. I like that there's not a lot of detail in the grass that just kind of fades out. So that I really do like. I I know you wanted something more dramatic, but unless you want to have to repaint the horse, because you know how it is when you're blending with acrylics and you go over the clouds. Wait, were you planning to go over with oils? I didn't see. Pretty dramatic. I think you were just leaving yours in. No, you were. Okay, oil is on top. So if you've already got oil on top, that's actually not hard to do. So yours is going to be actually a little bit easier with oils. If you wanted to change the sky and make it more dramatic, you could. Should you? Meh, I don't know. I do want to say, let's do this really quick. I want to see what it looks like without that tree. I could be wrong. This is why I like to find out first, because I'm wrong a lot. Don't tell Matt. I'm not admitting to it. Let's just kind of do some quickie. Oops. Yes, that. And what brush do I have? Let's switch to you. I'm just going to poof some of these out just to give us an idea. Let's soften all of that. I'm not trying, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. I'm not trying to make this super like accurate. I just want to get an idea. What if those trees weren't there? Would this be better? Would it be worse? I don't know. This may be one that I'm wrong on. Go away. I probably could have just done the clone stamping and saved myself some time, but whatever. I'm not going to worry about it now. I think, I mean, you could put low bushes coming here. What happens if we just... It's way better without, I think. Personal preference, but I don't like the tree. I think it's drawing attention away from the horse. I don't like the composition with the tree. I would take that out completely. So then what do you do with the grass? Should you take out the grass all the way? I don't know. Let's find out. Not the grass, I mean, but the dark here. What if it just kind of fades? He's out in a field and it fades out. I'd probably pull some down here too. Is it fading out there? I don't know. That doesn't look right. That is not the way to go. So probably just pull the grass. I don't know, something out there. Maybe just little bushes. Not that defined. I would probably not define them that much because it looks a little bit weird being that dark. I would want them coming out, you know, being in the distance. So something a lot lighter. But yeah, probably a border there of trees, just not that tree. I think that would be my main thing I would change on this. I don't think that you need to change like storm clouds or anything like that. I think your grass already is good at this point, but the next time that you do decide that you want something that's very dramatic, try on different outfits, because what looks good on the hanger not always going to look so good on the actual canvas. So yeah, I think you're doing a great job here. I'd pull out, you know, I know you're not done yet. Pull out, get these highlights here are amazing. Take advantage of those lights. Do not shy away from how strong those are. And you're not here, like you're really bright here, but I would definitely like pull out those highlights even more. Get those darks darker, those lights, like really, the darks are actually, most of the darks are dark enough. There's not a lot where the dark needs to be darker, but the lights you definitely want to, like they're almost, it's over blended right now. And that is very easy to do with oil paints. Let it be a little bit harsher on some of these details and some of the veins and the stuff that you're seeing in there. You've got the start of it, finish it. Finish getting the brights that bright. Like here, look at this area here. It looks like you kind of shied away from it. Look how, oops, that's not the right pen. Let's change to you and to you and you, and you need to change. Everything needs to change. You're going to be too thick now. Okay, look at this shadow right here. Yours is really soft. I would lean into that a little bit harder, like really make those definite shadows more definite. Things, you know, you've got a highlight here on that strap. Really work on getting those a little bit more, but then you've got more highlights here. And those highlights, I don't even like these ones. I think these are too bright because it's making the nose, I'm seeing the strap more than I'm seeing the horse's nose, where in this one, it's darker, and then the horse's nose, you've got dark here, but you've got light there that stands out more. I would switch that on this case, darken, whoops. I would probably darken these areas a little bit more. Maybe not that one can be light, but this one I would probably darken it a little bit more and brighten the nose of the horse, just so that the nose pops up more than what you've got right now. these areas, all those highlights, you know, you did that last time on, what was it, the moose? Was it a moose? It was a moose, wasn't it? I'm mixing up mooses and elk now. But yeah, so those would be the things that I would work on this. I see what you mean. You feel like it's a little boring. You want them more dramatic. The clouds look good. I don't think this is one where I would go back and change again. You've changed it a million times, but I would probably get rid of that tree. I do think it's a stronger piece where there's just bushes instead of a long tree up the edge there. So, and then finish your straps and finish all that. But yeah, no, that's all I would do on that. And then moving forward in the future, when you have an idea for something that's really dramatic and you want it very different than the photos you have, try it on in Photoshop first or some kind of photo editing app, because I cannot tell you how many times I have had wonderful ideas until I saw what it looked like on the canvas. It was not so wonderful. Okay. Oh, we've got a lot of photos here. So let's see. Let me download all these. We've got a bunch. That's a reference photo. That's a reference photo. That's a reference photo. Okay, these are too many submissions. Just letting you know right now. 3 submissions is too many. I'm still going to pull them up, though. We got time. Let's see. Hold on, I need to look at these and make sure these gentlemen are wearing some gentlemanly pants. No, we're good. They're all chest up. I couldn't tell on some of these photos. I'm like, what kind of photos you sending me? Not into this stuff. Put on some clothes. Hold on, let me get all these over. Somebody who's watching knows who I'm already, that I'm talking about their stuff. Okay, so let's read first. This is from Tim Slump, who said, I send to you work that I do for my own pleasure. At the end of the day, I am a printmaker, paper cutter. So at the end of the day, I like to reward myself with doing some loose work. I always try to make my subjects be more than just a pretty or handsome face. And I like for these works to achieve a different viewing experience from certain distances. From afar, I want them to be almost photographed. But as you get closer, one gets, the clearer the medium, and the application becomes up to where you are at the arm's length. You can see the individual brush strokes. Okay. Believe it or not, I actually understood what that said. These are made with pan pastel, which is fairly new medium to me. These are part of the first 10 pieces or so. I can't deal with normal pastel. It's a sensory thing. The idea alone of holding chalk is toe curling in all the wrong ways. Right there with you, sir. Oh my God. I only use the soft tools to make these. Oh, you're definitely making it harder. Limiting myself to these tools is one of the challenges I set for myself to make sure I keep my work loose and painterly. That'll do that. I tend to work just a couple of hours per piece. The second they come alive, I tend to stop fiddling with them, mostly because the reference photos aren't AI generated. We talked about that, and intrinsically lack this very spark. These are made on black Fabriano paper. Oh, I hate is it the black? I hate black Fabriano paper. I used it once. I will not be doing that. Not a fan. Switch to Canson Me10s. Way better. Let's see. They are about 20 by 27 inches. Oh, you went big. Dang. Things I'd like to know are, of course, if there are any glaring distracting issues with these, like the application composition, but mostly, and the reason why I sent 3 pieces for comparison, are there any stylistic choices you would make to help these stand out? Okay, I see why you sent 3. You're allowed to send 3. I take it back. Please know that I do not expect you to share and work through all 3 pieces in the live stream. Oh, you're reasonable too. I just provided them as material to draw information from. I often find it easier to see a problem if someone's reasoning, if I can make okay, fine. Let's see, I've made it. Okay, so let's take a look. That's all with pan pastel. Like, that is good. That is I like it. I like the style. I'm just like, my first impression, when I thought it was acrylics, I didn't like it as much as when now I know it's pan pastel. Actually, I didn't like it as much when they were small, which I think was interesting. Now that I'm seeing it bigger, I like that way more. Okay, just taking a quick look at some of these. Let's lay these all out. So there's our AI reference photo. I would not, see, and it's hard because I would not be using reference photos from AI for portraits. These are good, but these ones are probably fine because there's no hands involved. how much, I don't need that. How much of a likeness are you looking for? Okay, let's just pick 2 and start with that. So on this guy, I would get the brights a bit brighter. I mean, it looks good how it is. So this is really, I like a lot about these. I cannot believe you're doing this. I mean, I guess it makes sense because you're working large, but with just the pan pastels, you're doing a wonderful job. And the interesting thing is doing just the softals, because when I was reading that, I was almost certain one of my bits of advice would be, go back through with just a white colored pencil and do some touch up. I don't think you need to. I really like what you're trying to accomplish with it, kind of like doing a painting with a palette knife or just those really loose brush strokes. This is great practice for that. So now it depends on how much you want the likeness to be like the person. Accuracy, close. It's not the same person. Like you wouldn't look, I mean, it's AI, so it doesn't really matter. It's not like you're doing portraits. But if I were doing a portrait, I would want to see this more accurate to like the shape of the person's face. But as far as like just doing any portrait, it just looks like, like a person. I think you've done a wonderful job. I think your whites can be a bit whiter. And if you're having trouble where the whites are blending with the grays and the blacks too much, so they're not white enough, take your Spectrafix in a fine mist sprayer, do a light mist over it, and now when you go, take a hairdryer to it, dry it. When you go on top of that with the white, now it's going to stick better without just smudging in with the other ones. So yeah, this is, I would probably pull a little bit more with the highlights. I really do think you're accomplishing what your goal is, unless you're going for an accurate representation of that person. Again, they're AI people, so I don't think you care that much, and you don't need to if you just want it to look like a portrait. I think you're doing a very good job. I would make the whites, especially in this one, I would get those brights a little bit brighter. Your darks are dark enough. Your lights need to be lighter. I think that would make for a stronger piece here. And really, that seems to be the case with most of these. Let's make some of these a little bit smaller so we can take a better look at these. Wrong one, you. I mean, I can obviously point out everywhere where it's not exact, but that doesn't seem to be what your goal is, so we're not going to worry about that. As far as like being a stylized look, I think you are doing such a good job with that. No, don't overlap. That's not what I'm trying to get you to do. You go here, sir. You guys see now I was like, are they wearing pants when I looked at just the thumbnails of the little version of these? On him, I want to see, now he's almost the opposite. I would like to see him. So you're lightening the backgrounds. What if you went darker? I think these look good because of the dark backgrounds. I would actually like to see these done with the dark and letting the light be the thing that pulls them out. Because that's one of the things I like about the AI version. I really like that they're coming out of that you've got the contrast with the dark, and that, like if we look at this guy, the first one, the reason that white stands out so much along his hair in the outer edge is because he's against a dark background. But up against the white, it's never going to look that bright, even though yours are actually pretty light. It's never going to look that light. And I still think we can get more highlights on his cheek and his nose, pull that out a bit more. But same thing here on the next guy. I think he would look so much better coming out of the dark than what you've got. I think it would be a stronger piece. I don't like how dark his chest is on this one. That looks weird. It doesn't look like his chest is attached to his head. So that is certainly something that I would make different here. On the first guy, it works. On this guy, with his skin tone, it looks too separate. And part of that is AI does weird things. And so I see that you're darker because AI is darker, but you made yours even darker. And then, yeah, I would definitely not, watch for that. Watch your lighting on some of these because it just looks a little bit weird. Like the head doesn't, like the head is the bottom looks like a pumpkin and the top looks like a stem. So watch for stuff like that. Like that is all I can see now. But I think if the color was a little bit closer, it would be better. I would be looking for photos though, as much as you can. Look on Pixabay and I mean, these are really dramatic, and so it's going to be harder to find photos like this on Pixabay and Unsplash, obviously. So I see why you would have gone with AI there. This one I don't, actually, these are in order, my favorites. The first guy I think is the best. This one, I'm not, is this the guy from, it looks like the guy from Stranger Things, the guy that was the jerk. But anyway, the bully guy, he looks dirty to me more so than the, like, it doesn't look like, I think as you reversed it, you went darker on the person and lighter on the background, which is interesting. I'm not loving that one quite as much. I would like to see you mess around a little bit more with your lighting and flipping it more like what the photo has so that the lights stand out more. I like his hair. I really like how you did his hair with the pan pastels. I think that is excellent. His hair is my favorite of the bunch. Well, no, I like the dreads on this guy too, but I like his hair a lot, but his face feels too dark. So it's almost the opposite. I often talk about this. I have seen so many white Will Smiths where people just did not go dark enough on the skin, and it's like that's not right. On this one, I feel like he's too dark, and which you can leave it that dark if the lighter areas get pulled out a bit lighter. I feel like his cheek in here, this area. Oh, I don't have a pen up. I did not need to do that. There we go. This area, like this should be lighter. This whole, like work on those lights. And it's not even a detail issue. It's more of just the values. These, I think, are such good practice. I love that you are practicing with just black and white. You are going to perfect your values so good. This is such good practice. But I think that this guy, the blonde guy, can have a lot more light in around his face. I feel like he's just like, look how dark that is. He looks like he would be somebody with really dark skin, and he's obviously very pale or pale-ish. So I think I would pull out more highlights with him. And even if you go into his chest, you've started it, but more. Like here we'd have more highlights. We'd have more highlights here. We'd have, that wrinkle is super weird to me. That looks like a woman's chest that has, oh wait, no, I don't need this, go away. See, this is the thing that gets weird with AI. This line here, that is what you would typically see on a woman, usually like a woman wearing a bra or a woman with implants where it's shoved up. So it's kind of a weird, that wrinkle looks weird to me. I don't know, I could be wrong on that, but that's what it looks like. It's just a weird, it's just AI does weird things is what I'm saying. So yeah, I think that your lights could be a lot lighter. Oh no, I don't need you. I need you to undo my lines. Is the main thing in a lot of these. And I think this is such good, like all of them, all three of them. I think for the most part, your lights could be lighter, but I think the dark background just makes more sense. I mean, the AI made a good choice on making that dark background so that they could be backlit and that backlight would just stand out. I would like to see these same ones, but flipped, do them again, but with the dark background and let that light stand out. Now, I know you said you were sticking with the pan pastels, but you might try just a white pencil. Just like, don't even do the dark pencils. You're not trying to do detail. Just making that white, like you can kind of hold it to the side. Just make those whites stand out that much more. They would need SpectraFix down first. And that may be the thing too. I don't think you said in there if you're using that. If you don't, if your white is just blending in too much with the gray with the pan pastels, and this is true no matter what colors you're doing, if they're just getting muddy and you're layering and they keep getting muddy, you're not really getting it to stick more, put a layer of SpectraFix, dry it. Now, when you do the SpectraFix, I do recommend make sure that the outer edges of your paper are taped down because depending on the paper you're using, it's going to warp some and it'll, I use a hairdryer so it dries back flat into shape. But do the SpectraFix and then you can get your whites will stick that much more. They'll stand out more. They'll still mix in some with what's underneath, but not to such an extent that they currently are because you're getting, I don't want to say muddy because it's black and white, but it gets to where it mutes the high contrast tones. You may be looking at that and going, yeah, I'd like it to be lighter, but it's just mixing in with the darks I've already got in there. What you can either start with your lights first and then build to the darks, or start with the lights, build to the darks, or putting the SpectraFix will allow you to get some of that light to really be light on top and show up well. But I think the stylized look you're doing, I think what you're talking about, looking at from a distance, looking realistic, I'm squinting to get that effect. I don't know that I would say I mistake it for a photo at a distance. It's not that accurate, but it has a really good feel as far as being stylized. I really do. Like, people are going to want these on their walls. This has a very artsy feel with still being realism, and I think you have nailed the stylized look there. Really, really well done. But yeah, I think in most of these, just that the lights need to be lighter. Your darks are pretty much, you know, they're there. It's the lights needing to be lighter, and I would like to see these with that darker background too. Like this one would make so much more sense if because he's coming out of the shadows, and that will make a lot more sense if the background is dark on that, or at least a lot darker. So well done though, really well done. I like, they all are fitting, like I can tell they're all by the same artist, which I think is a very good thing. You've really nailed that style down. Okay, let me see really quick. Okay, good. We've got one more, so we're almost closing, finishing on time, whatever. I'm not as much of a rush because I don't feel bad that I've not neglected French fry. He's sitting with me now. When I'm in the other room, he's sad because he wants, this is what he wants. He wants to sit in my hair. Okay, let's open this. It's funny, the last one he even said, no nipples or anything, so nothing that's not advertiser friendly. Okay, that was funny. Yeah, even like, and I'm looking at them. Actually, does this show? Yeah, it does. If you look at these thumbnails, look how small. Let's make them one size bigger. I want to go back down to those really quick. When we look at them smaller, that one is, yeah, that's definitely my favorite. That one looks like a stamp to me. It looks more cartoony. This one, I really love. The hair looks amazing. I changed my mind. He is now in second place. I love his hair. But this one, his chest, it is just weird. It's a weird angle. That one doesn't fit. But it gives you that better idea what you talked about. You wanted it to look like from a distance, it's, you know, more photographic. And as you get closer, you can see the medium that it's an actual art piece. I think you're close. You are really close to that aim. The black guy looks more like a photograph to me. That one, when it's small, definitely looks more real. This one, not so much. And part of that is, it is a weird angle with his chest, but this one, if you got those lights lighter, even with the dark background or the light background, I think can work on that one, but get the lights lighter that are on his chest and his face. I think that'll really make that pop even more and reach that look. Like his chest looks like at this point it's two tones. So this is actually important. I know we're going on to the next one in a second, but I think this is important. If you look at his chest here, you've almost got everything is only two tones, black, gray. You don't have all those mid ranges, and that's important. I always am going to say do a minimum of 3 tones on anything. You're doing a bush, you're going to have your darkest, your mid-range, your lightest. Same thing, darkest, mid-range, lightest. At least 3 values in there. And while, yeah, there's a couple of little highlights, I'm not even counting them because they're not enough. Get more in there. Get a little bit more variation, and even more variation from that would be better. Okay. We don't need that over here, but we do need, we've got a portrait. You. And you. Oh, nope. Now I've got extras. I copied it for some reason. You and you. Nope. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. You too. Come here. So there's our reference photo there. Dang. Holy crap. That's amazing. I don't know what you want me to say about that. The detail is in the accuracy. I mean, not exact, but freaking close. Dang. Who is this? Sonia, you show off. This is a commission that I was asked to do before my daughter goes back to Minnesota on Friday. I only had a week and a half to complete it, which was a major challenge for me. Show off again. I am calling this one done because I need to get this varnished tonight. I was going for realism. My major challenge was the building, getting it to look blurred out. It was a struggle, and I'm still not 100% satisfied. I know this is a late submission, but I just finished this morning with redoing the building for the 3rd or 4th time. So the only thing, if you want to blur something out, you need to soften the edges. That's it. Your contraster is fine. Your values, I would darken this side a little bit, and that would just be a glaze, so nothing complicated. This side here could be a little bit darker if we look at the values, and that's going to make her pop out even more. So I would probably do that. Actually, let me do another layer, and I'll show you. Layer, new layer, layer. Okay. So if we look at the values here, let's just pick like the darker. So there's our gray there. There's your gray there. That's actually close there, but this is really a lot lighter than what this one is. So we're just going to darken that. Actually, I'm going to do it. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. How did you even manage that one? If we just take this and I'm going to put you way to like nothing, and then you are going, whoops, you are going here. If we just tone, okay, maybe a little bit more than 1%. If we can just tone this down a little bit, it's going to make her head pop forward. And all I'm doing is glazing. So, you know, thin that paint down. And that just is going to let her stand out a little bit more. I kind of like the brown highlights here. These circles, that's up to you if you really want to add those. But I do think those are pretty. And those would be harsh. If you're doing the circles, those can be a little bit more harsh. I think that adds just a nice, I would probably, oops, maybe not that right. I'd probably include a couple of those because I think I'd like that bokeh look. Oh, that's pretty. But anyway, so let's talk about making the building look blurry. All you need to do is we'll just take white and we're going to soften that edge here. Not that, that is way too opaque. We're going to do, actually, let's do you. And let's do you a little bit bigger. Okay. No, you. A little bit more. A little bit more. Just by smudging these edges. So you're not changing the values. It's still that dark. But we're going to soften so they're not as obvious. We're going to tone that one down. It's just going... Now, here's the thing. Do you need to do this to make the painting complete? No. It's amazing how it is. And if you hadn't commented that you wanted the building to be softer, I would have never even complained about it or said anything. So if you're like, I just need to get this varnished, I don't want to mess with it anymore, you're fine. Honestly, you are absolutely fine. I'm just showing you how to fix or do the thing that you talked about, and it's just softening the edges. See how I'm just, and if I was doing this, I'm guessing this is acrylics. Acrylics or oils, either would work. Well, if you're still painting tonight and going to varnish it tonight, then it's acrylics. I would just be taking a little bit of white and almost dry brushing, but then kind of blending it out, smudging it with a wet brush. So I've got a brush that I'm applying the white with and a clean, slightly damp brush that I just smudge the edge just to soften it up right along the black, just so it's not quite so harsh. That is how you would get that blurry just along the edges. You're just so that there's not such a straight harsh edge anywhere. That's really all it is some of this I'm just lightening up too, doing it, but that can stay dark over there. Oops. It would actually be better if I went closer to that color. See how I've just softened the edge? That's all it is to make something blurry. So, and again, I don't think you need to. If this were mine and I wanted to get it varnished tonight because it needed to go somewhere, I would not even worry about that because I don't feel like that's going to make a big difference in the end piece. I think that this work is amazing. The one thing I might change is her eye right here. That highlight is a little bit too highlighted. You don't hear me say that often. Actually, I don't know if you've ever heard me say that specific way at all. But if we could just go ahead and kind of get rid of that highlight is weird there. It's just a little too much there. Just tone that down some. I think it just makes it look a little bit more accurate because everything is so accurate there. And that highlight right on the underside was almost making it droop out a little bit. So that would be, if I were to change anything tonight, that's what I would change. The little circles, up to you. I like them. I think it adds something. I love bokeh looks, and I would just do the little circles and then smudge the edges a little to, you know, apply the paint with one brush, leave the center like so it's solid, and the outer edge just take a clean, slightly damp brush and go around it. You know how to paint. What am I talking about? Look at this. You know how to blend. But that's how I would do it for anyone else watching. I don't think you need to really do, like, I wouldn't worry about the building not being out of focus. I see what you mean. I don't think it matters. But if you did want to tone that down, I would just be taking the color, the lighter color of the building, so it's like a light gray, almost white, and right along the edge of anywhere where you've got a straight line, a harsh edge, where it's like a definite, edge. That's not redundant. I would go over it and just smudge that, like apply it with one brush, take your clean, slightly damp brush and just soften it out. And that's just going to push it back so that the building doesn't look so in focus. But again, I don't think it needs it. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful work. You might want to you could do the freckles on her arms if you wanted to add a little bit more detail. That's optional. But yeah, beautiful work. 10:05. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Thank you for your submissions. I'm thinking, so what is it? It's the 14th. I was thinking about doing this. It'd be nice if we knew it was always going to be like, oh, see, I can't do it. I was going to say the first Wednesday of every month we'll do our critiques for our Patreon members, but that doesn't work because that is the day I think Matt comes home from the hospital. So I'm not going to be doing a critique that week. It'll likely, my next one, I'll plan on for the 11th, if all goes well. We'll see how Matt's healing at the time, but my plan is for the next critique to be on the 11th. If you are a Patreon member, you follow the same directions I gave you on how to submit, and if you can submit now if you want, or you can wait until right before. It doesn't really matter. If I get too many, I'll just do it in 2 lessons. I'm going to get everyone taken care of. So again, and if you're not a Patreon member, patreon.com/Lachri, Lachri, for as little as $6 a month, you get access to all of my longer tutorials. We've got live streams every Wednesdays that are Patreon only, where we're doing longer, what we used to do, but a little bit more, we can take our time and make it even better. So, and I've been uploading the higher quality footage. So we do the live stream with the webcams, but I'm also recording with my good camera. And then I swap that footage, do some little editing magic, swap that out. So we've got like the clear video for the live stream. So those who are following along with those beginner lessons, it's going to be much, much easier for you. So, and I think that was that was the last one for tonight. So yeah, I'm excited about all of that, and I will see you guys next week. If you have suggestions for what you want next week's live lesson to be, let me know. I'm still going to take the brimstone butterfly we did recently and paint. Look, I don't have a Band-Aid on my finger where dragon bit me. It's still messed up, but I super glued the nail down and shortened it and put a nail wrap over it to hold everything together so I can work without a Band-Aid. It makes life easier. So I'm still going to be doing the details to show you how to take that, more beginner painting to a more advanced level. And I will probably be working on that this weekend if all goes well. I'm telling you, having a broken foot is, there's a subscribe button in front of my face, isn't there? But I can actually switch this over. Why am I doing it this way? Having the broken foot has definitely made life, I'm not getting as much done as what I'm planning on. I definitely want more stuff for Patreon users. So that is coming. I think that's it. I will see you guys next week. Is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else. Thanks. Bye.